Hello, family. This is your friend Kenesha, and welcome to another episode of TransFormNation Thursday. That's right, we are in season 2, episode number 1, and I hope that you have had a happy new year thus far. Now, today we're going to be talking about unifying conversations. Remember, on Thursdays we talk about what can we do to change ourselves so that we can have an influence on people in our neighborhoods, people on our jobs, in this state, and in this world. And if you want to listen to a message like never before right now, tune in today, lean in, incline thine ear, because more than ever, this country needs what you're going to hear in these next few minutes. Again, the title is Unifying Conversations. Let's sit back and enjoy.
Hi, my name is Gary White. I'm the founder of High Definition Coaching, and I welcome you to join me in a unifying conversation. You know, today more than ever, we need to be active in unifying conversations. Unity is forged through empathy. It's sustained by selflessness. It's seen through our service to others, and it really begins with the influencers. And that's why we need to be having these conversations. Now let's get started. Hey, welcome everyone. Gary White here, and thank you for coming back to this next episode of Unifying Conversations. I hope you've been able to see thus far the value of our Unifying Conversations. And I'm an executive director with the John Maxwell team, and I have with me today my friend. She is incredible woman of energy, Kenesha Williams. Kenesha, welcome.
Hi, Gary. Thank you.
Kenesha, you're out in California right now. I'm in Florida right now. So it's a little later in the morning for me, and you're just getting started, or maybe you got started about 2 hours ago. With your energy, you probably did. Yeah. So Kenesha, take just a moment and tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to them.
Well, I first of all want to say thank you so much, Gary. I honor you. I adore you. You are one of my mentors. I have the pleasure of being in the field of education. This is my 21st year. I am an elementary principal right now. I was a vice principal as well as a teacher in public education. And I just released this year my own business, Transformational Leadership, and working on leadership principles, transformation, personal growth. I am single. I've got 3 siblings, and just have my little nephew, my sweet little baby. He's the first one of the family. And I just love life, right? I love life. And I always say I am a hope pusher. Now let's not make a mistake. I said hope, H-O-P-E. I'm a pusher of hope, a dealer of hope. That's what I've been born to do.
I love that. That's amazing. Wow. So, you know, Kenesha, one thing that you've had an impact on me in terms of you've got such a contagious personality that just draws people to you. And you not only draw people to you, but you've got this vision. You've got this vision of a better place that I just know that I'm going to get to a better place if I follow you. And so here's what I know. I know that we don't end up where we are. We're not on this journey of life by chance. There's been some influence in our life. And so I'm interested, who has influenced you the most and why?
Gosh, the most would have to be my pastors, Dr. Jesse Giddens, Bishop Jesse Giddens, Dr. Helene. I've been with them for 21 years. And when I tell you, I have never met anyone like them. They are people of a purity. They're people that they keep their word. They love the Lord, but they're people that are down to earth. Like you would never look at them and feel like they have all of the responsibilities that they have because they just look cool, right? They look slick. But they are people of high moral and value. And what I truly love about them is I've watched their leadership for over 2 decades. I've seen them in the ups and the downs, and they have never left their tenets of faith. They do not compromise. And for me, I have seen many leaders compromise. I have been a person that has compromised. if we want to keep it transparent. And I've never seen them compromise. And for me, that has really fed into my life. The other thing that I love about them is that they speak life. They have spoken life into me, but they also will chide me. They will also drop the hammer on Kenesha, Make It Happen Williams, and tell me, go sit down. Don't say anything until you know how to lead correctly. So I take great honor in having such precious people that not only see a gifting, but they care more about the person behind the gifting. That to me is the most valuable thing that anybody of influence can do. Yes, I like all of the great things that we see, but what's happening, Kenesha, on your inside? Let's steward what's on the inside. Because honestly, Gary and viewers, years ago, what was happening on my inside was going to destroy me.
Really?
And it almost did as a believer. And these two people who I named were able to speak into that. And not only speak into that, to coach me back to life. So above everything else that people see on the outside about Kenesha, all of this stuff, that's great. But the most important thing about me now is that I'm clean on the inside. I'm pure on the inside. I'm healed on the inside. I'm healthy on the inside. And I know ultimately it is for me as a believer, the Lord, but these two people were not afraid to speak to that, to coach me through that. Whereas other people, all they were concerned about was the outside. She's doing great. She's doctorate degree, when I was dying on the inside.
Wow.
So for that, I'm eternally grateful.
Wow. Well, as they say, we can go home today and say it's been good to be in the house of the Lord. You probably heard that said, and we could, at this point, we could say, my gracious, we could really just feast on that for a while and just let you teach us, Kenesha. That's very convicting for me. It's very powerful. That transparency, I'm going to share just a little nugget that I've recently learned about transparency, and then I want to ask you about the current events in our nation right now, and I just want to ask you some good unifying personal questions there. But in terms of transparency, when you think about what makes gold transparent, there's a lot of heat and there's a lot of refinement that creates transparency. And whenever we're willing to be transparent, just as you were transparent with us, that doesn't come without a lot of refinement. And that really, where transparency is what's really going to make the difference in our communities and our unity with one another. And that it's going to take refinement, isn't it? To really make that happen.
Yes, sir.
So, Kenesha, with so much that's going on in our nation that we've seen this year, and I'm not, and COVID's been bad, but I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about the racial tension and the hatred, and even the stirring the pot, I call it, of racial tension. I think there's been plenty of that going on. It brings to my mind that I've had an experience in life. I grew up with black friends, and I shared with someone earlier that I can remember one time in my elementary school there was some kind of racial something, that was being voiced and going on, and I was like, well, I don't know what's wrong with y'all, but I'm standing with my black friends. They're my friends, so. Yeah. And I think it lasted about a day, because elementary, right? Lasted about a day. I was really glad, but I've just had an experience in life, and that experience has always been one of racial unity. That's been my experience. What I'm learning, Kenesha, is I've probably been living in a bubble, and sometimes I can be insensitive to other people's experiences. because I think I see mine and that's all I see. And I've not been asking the questions. And so that's really what this is about today, is to ask those questions. And I really appreciate you coming on to answer this next question. And that is, what has your experience with racial prejudice been? And you'll have to excuse me, my plug came out of the computer and I need to plug it back in. I
Yes,
don't want us to turn on. Okay, we're good. So what has been your experience, Kenesha, with racial prejudice in life?
How much time do we have?
Well, we've got a little while, so. But I've learned you talk fast, so.
So I live in California, but I am born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, then moved out to the beautiful, big, small town of Galvez, which hardly anybody has heard of, Louisiana, which is right by Prairieville, which is by Gonzales, which is by what I'm sure everyone knows, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So I'm from the South.
Okay.
Creole nation. And so one of the ways that my mom and my father raised us, there are four of us. I'm the eldest, then another girl, boy, twins, and then a boy. And my mom was very specific about us getting our education. My mom's an educator as well. But also that not only did we have to get an education, we needed to show up and be 1,000% better. In order for us to even get some type of equity at the table, this is how I had to be raised. So people oftentimes speak about how I speak. Oh my gosh, you articulate so well and all of these things. That was intentional. My mom intentionally raised us like that because she knew if you do not stand up and stand out, particularly in this area, then you won't have a stand at all. So I was always, and my siblings, always in the top classes, right? I remember, I want to say maybe second or third grade, my class finished the math book early. I think it was third grade. So then we started the fourth grade book. And so we were on this trajectory, but I was always the only African-American in the class. And so I was toggled back and forth between my Caucasian friends, who in that class were really my friends, but I was still not Caucasian. And then I went back to the African-American community and it's like, but you're with them. So then it was this toggle with really sort of, who are you really? Because it was, you speak too proper, so you're a white girl. Right? And then for my Caucasian friends, I'm just African-American. So my whole life growing up, I just knew that was there. The good thing is about my personality is I come with a strong personality. So it didn't really get me down, right? I just thought, okay, if this is how you're going to feel on either side, I'm going to be even the more who I am, just to show you I'm unstoppable. And so that's sort of what I grew up with. So all throughout elementary school, middle school, high school, in my high school, they had two vice presidents. One had to be African-American and one had to be Caucasian or other. And guess who made the African-American? Myself. So when I go back now in retrospect, I think, oh, that's great. I think. Like, why did it have to be an African-American spot? Why did it have to be a Caucasian spot? Perhaps people knew that if there was not a set-aside place, that an African-American had no particular way to be able to get that position, even if equally qualified, which I knew oftentimes I was with my cohorts, whom I love. I want to say, Carrie, the KKKs, I don't know if you have ever heard of that, Ku Klux Klan, they met in the area that I had my high school. It was known that they met where I had to go to school. This is what I grew up in, the Confederate flag everywhere. I didn't have a choice but to look at it. It's on cars, it's on trucks. People are flying it in their homes. It's at the schools, it's at the college. So I was made to honor and reverence that which did not bespeak me. Now, did I let it get me down? Again, no, because my personality just doesn't fit that way. What I'm recently finding out right now, Gary, in 2020, after the George Floyd incident, and then my pastors and some other Christian believers said, we have got to begin to speak up around this, right? Not out of anger, but we need to know our history and we need to have a voice. What I found this year is all of these microaggressions that I've experienced, I've suppressed them. So I would experience racism and suppress over all of these years. And it really came out this year because I did not want to face what happened with George Floyd. In fact, I wasn't going to. I was going to suppress it because, I'm successful and, I know that it's out there, but because I keep tucking it away, it happens, I tuck it away. It happens, I tuck it away. I tuck it away. And pretty soon, there was a pretending as if these events were not happening, even to myself, because I did not want to have to deal with them perpetually over a long period of time. And then finally, when, these people who I respect begin to deal with it, I just had to listen. And I promise you, I have wept more this year over this issue than I have my entire life. Just having to face the reality of my history for me, of my current situation, and that I am going to have to use my voice. Why? Because unfortunately, my voice is listened to, and sometimes others of my African-American persuasion are not. And because I've been given a platform, and I'm not being prideful, but I've been given a platform, right? Doctorate degree, principal, I now have to speak out. Whereas last year at this time, Gary, I would not have. I would have dealt with it myself and then gone on. But for whatever reason this year, I have awakened. And I tell you, there's a little bit of probably, I would say, shame on my part because I've suppressed it and I have had a voice and haven't used it. And there are people out there that will not be listened to, but sometimes I will. I just had an experience about 2 months ago where I walked into a salon. Now, yes, it was on the black market. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. My nails were not looking fine. I had to get the 3 knocks and show the red flag, then bend down, do 3 of these, and then they let me in, right? So anywho, after that, so I walk in, I promise you, and dressed as such, but my mask was on.
Yeah.
I hear across the shop about why Black lives don't matter. And I'm just thinking, okay, this has to be a joke. Like someone's pranking me, right? They knew I was walking in, they're pranking me. I'm not sure why they would prank me like this, but maybe this is a prank. So then the conversation continued to, Gary, 2 months ago, this year, me dressed like this, mask on though. So all of this about Black people, this, and they're ignorant, all sorts of things. So then I'm thinking, this isn't a joke. So maybe if I just kind of go stand over there and maybe just let them see, they'll just stop. I promise you. I walk over in the middle. And this isn't a private conversation. This is one lady sitting on one side of the shop and the other on the other side. So this isn't a side by side where they were talking loud. This is clearly across the shop. So I'm sitting there listening. So now I'm visibly seen, again, masks are on. So I'm thinking, surely you could see this part of me. My legs, I had a skirt on. So I'm thinking, surely you see me. The conversation continued about why should we care about them? Black on Black crime. And so my heart's broken. So I just take my mask down and I say, ladies, there's a part of the story that you don't understand. I put my mask up and I walked away. I mean, face red. I mean, red as a beet. So I walked away because I wanted to make sure, one, I had to minister 2 days after that, and I didn't want to say anything that would get me So I said, tame the tongue, girl, tame the tongue. So walked away and then sat down, got one of my services done. And then I felt like I was hearing, that was okay, but now you need to be the bridge. Be the bridge, Kenesha, because we're never going to change if there's not a bridge. So I'm thinking God, are you, you want me to do that? I just heard them be the bridge. So then I got up. And one of the ladies had left, so I went over to the other, and she was sitting down. And I said, hey, ma'am, were you the person? And of course, red face again. Now, this is like an hour space of time that's gone by. So we both had time to think, I'm sure, mull it over. And she began to try to back out of it. I've got Black friends. I said, hey, let's just honor this moment. I experienced what I experienced. I said, but hey, here's my card. Call me. I want us to connect. And so she just sort of looked. I said, I'm an African-American. You are Caucasian. We're sisters. I said, we may not have the same mother, but we are sisters. We're part of humankind. I said, I'm a principal at a school right over there. And I gave her the name of the school, which I would never have done that before, ever, ever, ever. I said, and part of my job is when I see something that's not right is to speak up, but I'm to be the bridge. I want to bridge this. I said, if more people in our community and in our nation would do this, we would not be the same. So I said, I want to connect with you. I said, I know we're getting her nails done, so this maybe is not the time, but I just want to connect with you. Now, let me tell you the other side of that. On my card said Dr. Kenesha. So I needed her to know I'm not a dummy. I needed her to know that you don't group everybody in the same category, because that's not true. So at the end, so we talked maybe 3 to 5 more minutes. Gary, I promise you. At the end, she jumped up. We're in the middle of COVID and hugged me. I thought, lady, get back. We're in COVID-19. Now, I didn't say that because the moment was authentic, right? It was an authentic moment. So of course I embraced her back. And I said, hey, we're sisters. I said, call me now. She never called me. And Gary, I knew she wouldn't. But I believe that experience, it did something for me because it confirmed, Kenesha, you are the bridge. Don't wait for a politician. Don't wait for anybody else. You are the bridge, one by one by one. I changed this world. I'm not looking for I change it. And I change it by being a bridge of love and connection and not of hate and spite, even in the experience thereof. And I think for her, Gary, I'm just speaking, my prediction is it changed her for her to be able to see, hey, oh my gosh, she knew what she said. She knew what they were saying. And my retaliation was not retaliation. It was a bridge of love. So I think, and she was probably, if I could guess, somewhere in her 60s, somewhere in her maybe early 60s. So she's been living some time. I'm from the South. They say, listen, you can't teach a old dog new tricks. I don't mean to be disrespectful. That's just what my family would say, right? But I believe that experience did teach something. And I believe that she's going to go out and be different. And even the people around that saw the whole thing, right? Because the other ladies didn't say anything. Right? So that was a lesson for them. They just sat there and allowed it to happen. So I'm hoping again that experience. So that's sort of my story. And I can go line upon line growing up of different stories. But for me, I thought telling the most a recent one that literally, like I said, was about 2 months ago that happened. And I don't know that I would have responded, to be honest with you, like that a couple of years ago. I don't think I would have. You see, because I'm educated, right? So I can get you in an educated way, and you don't know that I just sliced you. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to cuss you, but I'll get you, and you'll be. And so for my heart to be so changed now, where I'm not trying to get back at, now I'm really trying to be that bridge together. That's what it's going to take for us to heal really these hearts. And yes, I do believe we need reform in laws. I do agree with that. But honestly, laws don't reform the heart.
That's right. That's right.
I'm looking for both. We need both. Now, if your heart won't change, we do need the law. So I'm not saying that. But deeper than that, for me as a leader, as a transformational leader, I want the reformation of hearts.
You know, Kenesha, you talk about being a bridge, and that's something that's very near and dear to me as well. But here's what a bridge does. A bridge provides a way for you to move from where you are to where you need to be. And you just provided a way. What an example. What an example for all of us. To be the bridge. My gracious. You got me all tore up here. Man. And here's what I love. Here's what I love. You didn't have to.
Mm-mm. And can I be honest with you, Gary? It wasn't my idea. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm a believer. It's what I heard in my ear. It's what I heard in the ear.
Yeah.
And I submitted and I acted it out.
Wow. Man, you know, my next question was going to be, what do we need to do? In your words, what do we need to do to bring unity in our communities? And good grief, I'm kind of speechless at this moment, but I believe you've given us quite the picture, Kenesha.
We are the change individually. Yes, laws need to be changed, please. I know that. But we're looking for some type of massive reform outside of us. And that's not the answer. It's each of us one by one. If we change us, we change the world. So I have this thought called the 1-to-5 ratio. I'm one. If I touch 5, then those 5 go out and touch 5 each, right? Now, I know that we all have more than 5 people in our realm of influence, but for the sake, of having a thought. So if we can operate in this 1-to-5 ratio, and I touch 5 people being the bridge in authentic ways, imagine how we can affect just even our own individual communities. Even the people that are watching today, if just the people that are watching and are listening today would go out and affect 5 people by being the bridge. And sometimes I'm working with a group, and with this group, we're having some conversation about diversity and equity, and it's not easy. In fact, it's tough. And these are people who I know and love and have known and loved for years. And it can be tight. But one of the things that I talk to them about, which is the rumble, that's Brene Brown, right? Daring leadership. And if we can get through that rumble, that's like this, that's not a bridge, it's like this. It's the messy middle. If we can get through that messy middle, then we make the change. Like Dr. John Maxwell, both of our mentors, he says everything rises and falls on leadership. So if we are going to be community leaders, we have to go through the rumble, stay there, because we are the change. We are the bridge because we ask others those hard questions, and we stay. Like, I could have said nothing else to the lady. But that would not have been enough for me just to pull my mask down and say there's another story. That stopped the conversation. But what else happened after I put the mask up? Think for a bit, went back, and then addressed the rest. That's where the bridge, showing that love. And then hearing, I think for her, hearing the story. Papa John tells us that until a person feels heard, they don't want to listen. Now, I know I'm not quoting it exactly, right? But that's the emphasis of what he's saying. Sometimes we just need to listen. What's the story? And that could be with any type of equity. It can be racial equity. It can be gender equity. It can be sexual orientation. All of these things that people have been discriminated against. Sometimes we just need to close our mouth and listen to their story. Yeah. And the group that I was sharing with you about, we did that in our training this month, and it was a game changer.
Wow.
I had everyone come in, tell me your story when you have been made to feel less than. And it was a game, everyone leaning in. Because we all have a story. But what I loved about what they responded, one person said, yes, we all have a story, but what I'm realizing, this person said that they were not African-American, is that some cultures have a story that is maybe greater, not better, but greater and in more depth, because now it's the entire race. I said, we're there. But that would not have happened if I had not allowed everyone to lean in and tell us their story.
You were being the bridge. Wow, that is absolutely huge, Kenesha. Listen. I'm changed for the better in knowing you, and I'm changed for the better in listening to your story. And listen, for our listeners, Kenesha, tell them right now how they can reach you, because anybody that's been listening to this can see that there's a value and there's a positive impact that you're going to be able to bring into their company, into their lives. So how could they reach you? How could they get a hold of you?
So I have a YouTube site. It's under Dr. Kenesha Williams. Also on Facebook at TransFormNation, at TransFormNation 411. And then you can see my business located there. Then all of my websites are there as well. And then my Gmail is transformed, the number 41 at gmail.com. So any of those, you can reach me. And I love adding value first to myself, and then after I add value to myself, because I can't give what I don't have, then for the rest of my life, I've decided to add value to others.
That's good. And listen, you can get a hold of me at Gary at highdefinitioncoaching.com, Gary at highdefinitioncoaching.com. If for whatever reason you're not able to locate Kenesha, you can reach out to me at that email address, and I'll make sure that you all get connected. Kenesha, stay on, and while I let everybody go, listen, everybody, thanks, Kenesha. I believe that unity is forged through empathy. I believe that it's seen through our selflessness to others, and I believe that it begins with the influencers, and I believe that's how we will see unity. And I just absolutely love what Kenesha shared with us today, that we really build unity by being the bridge, and I just love that. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. If you would like to know how you can have your own unifying conversations, or if you would like to contact us for more information about high definition coaching, we can be contacted at Gary at highdefinitioncoaching.com, Gary at highdefinitioncoaching.com. I hope you have a unified day, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, family, I hope that you enjoyed this episode of TransFormNation Thursday. Remember, let's go out into this world, into America. Let us be the bridge. This is your friend Kenesha. Have a wonderful and awesome day.